Welcome to another episode of Monday Tsene with Pretoria Psychologists. We all know that October is Mental Health Awareness Month in South Africa. So one of the objectives of this month is to educate the public or the people about mental health and mental illness, because we know the stigma around it, and to also the purpose of also teaching people is also to eradicate the stigma and discrimination along that comes with one having mental disorders, and to also know the causes and the symptoms, and also how to prevent the stigma and also treat it as well. So when we are talking about mental health, we are talking about the state of well-being in which an individual realizes their potential or their abilities, and they are able to cope with normal stressors, and then they can work productively and fruitfully and make a contribution in their communities. When we are talking about mental health, we are talking about when one is able to, to become fruitful, and one is able to, when they're faced with their life stressors, they're able to cope, And so the stat says that about 400 million people in the world, they suffer from mental health disorders. And also again, in 1 in 6 people in South Africa, they've got anxiety and depression. This actually poses a great challenge as far as mental health is important. Hence, it's very important that we teach people about mental health. And then we also have one of the big elephant in the room, which is burnout, because burnout is one of the, according to WHO, World Health Organization, they have recognized burnout as one of the medical diagnoses. One of the study that has been made along the engineering, law, and medicine, we've also seen how the doctors and the nurses and the engineers are also having mental health issues. Some they are going into alcohol, drugs, and substance abuse in order to cope because of the demand and the pressures that comes with their profession. When we are talking about burnout, we are talking about a chronic stress in the workplace. When we're talking about the chronic stress, we're talking about the stress that's constant. You are forever stressed about the kind of work that you do. Most of the time, it is characterized by the physical and emotional exhaustion. So it's how we also react to this stress at work. And then people, they struggle a lot in the workplace, and they are at risk of burnout because of the time at work. One of the signs that you can identify burnout is when you see yourself avoiding work. When you're supposed to work, anything that would make you to stay away from work. But sometimes you'd also see about the number of absenteeism at work. You'd realize that one is actually dodging their work. Not because they're doing it deliberately, but it's just a matter of them trying to cope with the fact that they do have burnout. And one of the signs as well, the physical symptoms, the one is struggling to sleep, the headaches, the non-stop headaches, and also the nausea or stomach aches. And the others, they've got emotional exhaustion. You are forever irritable, you feel like everything is too much, you're feeling overwhelmed. The suicide ideation, you feel like, let me just kill myself because this work is becoming too much. So sometimes you'd also see the reduced performance at work. When it comes to in the targets, when it comes to meeting the deadlines, you can see yourself not managing in that. As a result, you would have some mental breakdown. And then one of the causes of burnout is that sometimes there is unreasonable time pressure at work, where you are expected to do a 2 hours work in 30 minutes, for example. I'm just making an example. So this has greatly emotional or a mental impact on someone because of the unreasonable time pressures, and even the targets that sometimes do not even make sense. So that could cause burnout on people. And also, again, lack of communication with our managers or supervisor. It's very important that if there is no communication with your supervisor or your manager, it can put a strain on your mental health. As a result, you get burnt out. And sometimes the role clarification, sometimes you get to work and you are slash or jack of all trades. You really don't know what you're supposed to do. You end up being confused, not knowing what kind of a job you have to do. As a result, you'll have burnout because you are forever in the middle of everything. You are doing everything, especially when one doesn't have the strength or the capacity to multitask. It can have a great deal on their mental health, and as a result, experience burnout. And sometimes the unmanageable workload, I've mentioned it, where the workload is just too much for one person. The job that is supposed to be done by one person, by 4 people, but it's been done by one person. That can have really great impact on our mental health. And then we also have unfair treatment. You know, how we treat each other at work has great impact on our mental health. The reason I'm saying this was because we spend most of the time at work. For those of us who are 9 to 5, if the work is not productive, it's not conducive, it can put people under the stress and the pressure of performing. As a result, they are into burnout. They get burned out because of the kind of work, the workload that needs to be done within a very short space of time. So in as much as I've also given the courses and the science, but there are ways or strategies that one can use to prevent burnout. One would also, number one, you could approach your supervisor. Some of the things we need us to sit down as people and talk. Approach your supervisor in terms of roles clarification, in terms of the targets, how they need to be met, at what time, and deadlines and all that. So it's important. And it's also important to verbalize how you're feeling, the kind of impact that this is having on you. And it is important to be honest with yourself that this actually, I can do this one, but this one, I actually feel that it is beyond. Yes, I am skilled for it. I am expected to perform on it, but you cannot get it right all the time. So it is important that you talk to your supervisor, communicate the targets, communicate the timelines, communicate so that you may productively work and also bring forth the results that can make the impact in the organization. And another thing, you could also talk to HR. If you can't talk to your manager, you could also approach your human resource manager or whoever in the HR, so that you may iron things out. I believe that HR is also part of the employee wellness, that you are able to verbalize how you feel, so that there may be something that may be done for you, so that you may not constantly get sick. Because when people are not happy at work, or they're experiencing burnout, they are constantly sick. They are constantly, every Monday or every Tuesday, we know that so and so will not be at work. And another thing you would also consider maybe a change of position if you do qualify for certain positions, and from the very same company or the other department or other company. You could also try to apply for other positions. Perhaps sometimes we need a change of environment. We need an environment where sometimes you just need a change of scenery if you have been in a workplace for a very long time. So if it comes to a point when affecting your mental health and you are burnt out, so you could change your position. And sometimes it's very important, part of taking your mental health, it's important to go away, just go away, in a vacation where you're away from your laptop, away from your phone, away from everything that has to do with work. Give yourself a space to breathe. So it's very important that when sometimes you don't have to constantly working, but it's important sometimes just to go away from work. That is part of your mental health, because you are taking care of your health. We always say that nature has a way of, calming our mental health, and nature has a way of contributing to our mental health. So it's very important that whenever we experience such, you take a deep breath and you just stay away, take a step back to work, and then focus on yourself. Have that me time, because it's very important in order you are actually getting recharged, so that when you go back, you'll go back to work, you're good. And then lastly, another thing is the last one, you need to talk to a professional. When this one, I'm not only addressing on the issue of burnout only, but I'm addressing on all the issues that you may be facing in your life. Maybe anxiety, depression, or any other mental, psychological stresses that you might be experiencing. It's very important that you may talk to a health professional, because sometimes we think that you need to, be crazy, you need to, be unstable mentally in order for you to see a mental health professional. So it's very important that you need to talk to a mental health professional who can help you to have a different perspective of what you're currently going through, because most of the time we do have answers to our questions. We just need someone who can channel us to what the answers that we need. Sometimes when I always make this example that sometimes when we are sick, when there's an injury, we see a physician because there is blood that is spilling out. But when we are going through an emotional turmoil, we don't see the psychologist or the therapist or the counselor, whoever who may help you deal with that. Why is that? So it's very important that we need to see the health professionals, because they do have, in as much as you see the doctor, you also need to see that somebody who can, the counselor, whoever that may help you deal with your problems. So October is the month of mental health awareness. So destigmatize mental health, support people who are going through stuff, people who are HIV positive, they are dealing with mental disorders all the time. You need to be there for them. Make sure that you support a person. Make sure that you are kind to somebody, because you don't know, each and every one of us, we are fighting the battles that one do not know about. So it's very important to be kind. Be mindful of your words, support people, care for them. Thank you so much for watching Monday Tsene with Pretoria Psychologists. See you.